HOA removed my pool without notice. I took it to arbitration and got full value plus penalties. Have you ever poured your heart into something, only to have it ripped away without warning? That's exactly what happened to me when my HOA demolished my backyard pool in the dead of night, claiming it violated their precious rules. What they didn't expect was that I'd fight back and win. It all started 2 years ago when my wife, Lila, and I moved into Oak Ridge Estates, a quiet suburban neighborhood with manicured lawns and a homeowners association that seemed to have a rule for everything. We'd saved for years to buy our dream home, a cozy 3-bedroom with a spacious backyard perfect for our kids, Mia and Ethan, to play. The first thing we did was install an above-ground pool, a modest one. Nothing flashy, just a place for summer splash fights and lazy afternoons. We followed every guideline we could find: permits, setbacks, safety fencing. The city approved it and we thought we were golden. But Karen, the HOA president, had other plans. Karen was the kind of person who thrived on control. She'd patrol the neighborhood in her golf cart, clipboard in hand, noting infractions like a hawk circling prey. A mailbox slightly askew? You'd get a letter. Grass half an inch too long? Expect a fine. When she first saw our pool, her smile was tight, her eyes cold. "Looks nice," she said, "but I'll need to check the covenants." I brushed it off, thinking we dotted every I and crossed every T. But 2 weeks later, a letter arrived. Our pool was non-compliant due to an obscure rule about aesthetic harmony. We were ordered to remove it within 30 days or face penalties. Lila and I were stunned. The rule was vague, buried in a 50-page document we'd barely skimmed when we signed the closing papers. We appealed, submitting photos, permits, and even neighbor testimonies saying they loved the pool. Karen's response? A curt email: "Rules are rules. Remove it or we will." Desperate, we hired a lawyer who warned us that HOAs have near unlimited power in these disputes. Still, we fought. We attended board meetings, pleaded our case, and offered compromises: a privacy fence, a cover, anything. Karen wouldn't budge. "This is about maintaining property values," she'd say, her voice dripping with condescension. Then came the twist we never saw coming. At one meeting, a quiet older man named Mr. Thompson, a retired engineer who rarely spoke, raised his hand. "Karen," he said, "didn't you approve the Smith's pool last year? It's bigger than theirs." The room went silent. Karen's face turned beet red as she stammered, "That was different." Mr. Thompson pressed on, pulling out photos of the Smith's pool, which was indeed larger and closer to the property line than ours. He'd done his homework, and it was clear Karen was playing favorites. The Smiths, we later learned, were her cousins. The hypocrisy lit a fire in me. If she could bend the rules for family, why were we being targeted? But Karen wasn't done. One morning, I woke to the sound of machinery. I ran to the backyard and saw a crew tearing down our pool. No notice, no warning, just a bulldozer ripping through our kids' summer haven. Mia was in tears, and Ethan kept asking, "Why are they breaking our pool, Daddy?" I called Karen, furious, but she claimed the board had voted unanimously to act immediately due to safety concerns. It was a lie, and I knew it. Worse, they'd left a crater of mud and debris in our yard, and we were billed $5,000 for the removal service. I was done playing nice. I scoured the HOA bylaws and found a clause allowing disputes to go to arbitration. With Mr. Thompson's help, who turned out to be a goldmine of neighborhood gossip and legal savvy, we built a case. He dug up records showing Karen had ignored proper procedurino written notice, no board vote logged, and no opportunity for us to comply. We also gathered statements from neighbors who'd seen Karen's crew trespass on our property. The Smith's pool became our trump card, proof of her selective enforcement. The arbitration hearing was a battlefield. Karen arrived with a lawyer, a slick guy in a pinstripe suit who tried to paint us as reckless homeowners endangering the community. I presented our evidence, the permits, the neighbor testimonies, the photos of the Smith's pool. Mr. Thompson took the stand, his calm demeanor cutting through Karen's bluster. "I've lived here 20 years, he said. "This HOA has never torn down a structure without notice." Karen's acting like a dictator. The arbitrator, a no-nonsense woman named Ms. Rivera, raised an eyebrow at that. Then came Karen's turn. She rambled about community standards and property values. But when Ms. Rivera asked for documentation of the board's vote, she faltered. "It was an emergency decision," she claimed. Ms. Rivera wasn't buying it. "Where's the paper trail?" she pressed. Karen had nothing. Her lawyer tried to pivot, arguing the pool was an eyesore, but I countered with photos of our well-maintained yard and the kids playing happily. The contrast between our evidence and Karen's empty excuses was stark. The real gut punch came when I shared the emotional toll. I described Mia's tears, Ethan's confusion, and Lila's sleepless nights worrying about the financial hit. I admitted my own rage, not just at the loss of our pool but at the betrayal of trust. This was our home, our sanctuary, and Karen had violated it. The room was quiet when I finished. Even Karen's lawyer looked uncomfortable. Ms. Rivera deliberated for a week, but when the ruling came, it was a landslide in our favor. The HOA was ordered to pay $25,000 the full cost of the pool, installation, and landscaping plus $10,000 in punitive damages for their egregious overreach. Karen's face crumpled as the decision was read. The HOA board, humiliated, voted her out as president the next month. Rumor has it she's planning to move, unable to face the neighbors she'd alienated. Lila and I used the money to rebuild the pool this time with every possible approval in place. The kids are back to splashing and laughing, and our backyard feels like ours again. Mr. Thompson stops by sometimes, always with a sly grin and a quip about keeping the Karens in check. The experience left us wiser but also stronger. We learned that standing up to bullies, even ones with clipboards and bylaws, is worth it. What would you do if someone tried to take away something you'd worked hard for? Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear how you'd handle a Karen in your life.